afternoon. Today I'm going to be presenting my final presentation on the game King Arthur Knight's Tale. This is a 21st century similarity to King Arthur, but not only that, how the player in this game will unlock Lancelot, and what are the similarities between the game and the story of King Arthur. So let's get into this. So the first thing is King Arthur, A Knight's Tale. Who created this game? It was created by this company called Neo Core Games, and it's a RPG role-playing game, which is most games out there today, similar to what you see, to Fortnite and Call of Duty and those kind of games. But this is a different kind of King Arthur, a game related to King Arthur, I should say. In the game King Arthur Knight's Tale, you play as Sir Mordred, who is a nemesis of King Arthur. So the player, you or someone else, is playing as Sir Mordred, one of King Arthur's nemesis. The player kills or slays King Arthur, and both you and Arthur dies, but somehow you both live. So what are the similarities? Just like the story of King Arthur, you choose your own knights at your own round table as the player who's playing as Sir Mordred. You send them on quests, just like we see with Silence towards the end of the story of Silence and in the story of King Arthur. Also, the game in terms of the campaign of the game, which is what it is, has a big emphasis on moral choices. So like moral choices between right or wrong, good versus evil, what is right for me to do, what is wrong for me to do. And that's really important in most games like Fortnite and Call of Duty. You don't see. It's just, last man standing almost kind of role-playing game. This is a different kind of role-playing game. This is something that brings the player back to medieval times, but you're playing as King Arthur's nemesis. But yet you still have that experience of playing as King Arthur, to almost in a way feel how it was to be King Arthur, but yet you're playing as his nemesis, which I think is a fantastic way for the player who may not know the full story of King Arthur, may know a little bit of it, but not a lot. So, in the game, it talks about Lancelot, one of King Arthur's loyal knights. If I told you that you can unlock Lancelot, one of King Arthur's noble knights, in this game, you may be thinking, well, hang on a second, how can you do that if you're playing a Sir Mordred? I'll tell you. To unlock Lancelot, players will need you are required to have this 13 righteous points in the game to unlock him. Now, when I saw that, the word righteous, we'll come back to that. But when I saw righteous, I was like, the points that you get to unlock, not only Lancelot, but his knights, but I really wanted to focus on Lancelot, because it was the first knight that came to my mind. When researching this, when I saw righteous, I was like, now it makes sense. You need righteous points to unlock King Arthur's knights to help defeat King Arthur. So you need 13 righteous points in the game to unlock him. They will enter the side quest The Protector. From there, the player will be tasked to find Sir Lancelot, the knight, and also save while saving the nearby village. So you go on this quest, once you unlock the righteous points, to then find Lancelot, and once you find him, you unlock him, and he's one of your knights. He stays loyal. He helps you to defeat King Arthur whilst protecting you, the player, as Sir Mordred, which is, I think, is great and shows how much this game shows the player, hey, you're playing as King Arthur's nemesis, but you can still be your own King Arthur in a way, even though you're playing as Sir Mordred. And it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm playing as King Arthur's nemesis, this, that, and the other. But you can have the imagination of, even though I'm playing as Sir Mordred, who's one of King Arthur's nemesis, I can still imagine that I am King Arthur, even though I'm actually not. So, how is this related to the story of Silence, or the relation to the story of Silence? Well, we see quite notably towards the end, Silence is on a mission to find Merlin, which is actually similar in the game when the player receives 13 righteous points to find Lancelot and to save the village. And it goes back to the point in the game, the player, once they have the right amount of required points, they are sent to find Lancelot. And even, what I was saying earlier, about imagining that, even though the player is Sir Mordred, you can still have that imagination of being King Arthur and setting your knights out. Or you can be, for example, King Michael, or, if the player's a female, queen, whatever their name is, and they can send their own knights out on missions, just like King Arthur, just like in the story of King Arthur, and like what Silence did towards the end of the story of Silence. I want to thank you for taking time to listen to this presentation. I hope it was insightful and helpful. And thank you, and have a good day.